Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It is a dire day for 40. No, I'm joking. It's a great time to be here. We are streaming live from the WTC World Team Championships. We are in the hall in Mechelen, where round number 5 is very slowly coming to an end, and we are here to report about it for you. I am Tomek, also known as Tweak, the usual host of Contact Lost. With me, I have Nathaniel Henning.
Smooth. What are you doing?
Joker, by the way, so you know, Joker is behind the camera and behind the mic, and he is like trying to communicate with us by writing something on a piece of paper.
But he directly interrupted my train.
But Nathan and myself, we are blind as bats, and we need glasses, and we don't have them, so we cannot really read that. So let me start over. And with me today, I have one of my co-hosts, Nathaniel Henning of StatCheck.
Down to 2 brain cells and nothing together, guys. So we held up that sign, and I got very distracted trying to read it.
So hopefully, the second Nathaniel that is sitting next to me has some more brain cells to use today, because probably we are going to try and capitalize on these brain cells today. So, Nathan.
Yes.
You are here to talk about the scores, the games, your impressions, and so on. So let's start with this. What do you think of the round as a whole? Some massive games going on. Is it as emotionally taxing for you as it is for me or for Joker or for the Polish coaches, etc.?
Like I've said to some of the staff members earlier, I'm not too stressed out by these kind of things. It's out of my control. There's not much I can do about it. But definitely, I'm still obviously very interested in the England result. But I've been let down by England, both by football and by the actual team. So I'm kind of used to it. It happens.
All right. Okay. So for me, this is the first time that I'm seeing the Polish team playing live, playing in a game that, to me personally, looks like a game that could well be a final of the entire event, because we're talking about Poland versus the United States. We see people whom I consider Polish celebrities, who are very often featured on our podcast, playing against the biggest names in the world on Team America. So, as I said, it's extremely emotionally taxing to see how they fare, to speak to the Polish coaches and so on. I didn't actually expect that it's going to involve so much emotion and so on. So I actually envy you a little bit that you're already such a seasoned player with thicker skin who doesn't go through this the way I am going through it. So do you have any I don't know, maybe you could reveal something about how England is doing so far against France?
So yeah, it looks like the pairings went reasonably well for England. Around that draw small win mark. As the games have gone on, there was a couple of stumbling blocks. The Eldar versus our Imperial Guard got to go first. So that usually pushes it from like a 4 to probably a 0. However, how that game has actually gone is a little bit remarkable. The Guard dropped a Wraith Knight on the first turn.
Wow.
And dropped 2 small scoring units. So the Eldars then pushed onto the primary with the Wraith Guard and the other Wraith Knight.
Uh-huh.
And the following turn, the Guard picked up the Wraith Guard bomb. Without it really.
With what?
All of his indirect.
Okay.
Still had all of it left. I think he only lost a Manticore. I don't think the other Wraith Knight did that much due to a little bit of the terrain.
Oh, wow.
But actually, it's at this point where the Eldar's still going to win by a pretty comfortable margin, like 13, 14, maybe even 15.
But any stolen point is of value in a game.
Yeah,
like
the Eldar list has a Farseer, the Wayleaper, and a Wraith Knight left. That's it. Everything else is dead. So he's not going to really pull ahead. And it might even be a case that the Guard gets 7 points, which going second is
remarkable, as you said.
Yeah. It's not something they'd be looking for. There was quite a funny moment on the stream where the Black Templars versus England's Tyranids, the Black Templars charged out, wrapped a Lictor, tried to use the strat where you can't disengage on a 4+. But before that, Robbo, the Tyranid player for England, decided take a Shadow in the Warp test. And as that French player has had priors in the first round, failed it, so he can't use the strat.
So Battle Shock actually comes into play
For
finally
Tyranids.
for Tyranids.
Kind of not for Chaos Knights,
Yeah.
but in this case, he wasn't able to use the strat, so he now has 10 Salt Marines and the full 20-man Crusader squad sat in the open in front of 3 Malceptors, 2 Exocrines, and 12 Zone Folks.
Who are just
So-
waiting.
I expect them to pretty much at least take that 20-man unit off, because it's not even the characters are hidden, half the units behind a ruin, and some it's not. The whole unit is in front of his arm. Because he's
Okay.
tried to push forward, stop you leaving, kills that character, and then he's in a much better position to carry on.
All right.
And he's just got been screwed by dice again.
Okay. Any other noteworthy situations on those
Death
tables?
Watch
Mhm.
and the England's Death Watch versus France's Custodes ended in 11-9 for the Custodes. It was going well for Naz at one point, looking like a 13, but then he scored some points back at the end. I think he got onto the backfield objective, so that's 6 points ago. Then in the other matches, Manny's trying to really push the differential against the GSC player. The GSC player put his aberrants 9 inches away, hoping to go first. Go first. So Manny walked over and picked up 10 aberrants for no trading.
Yeah, backfired awfully.
And that's very big for that game, because you're now having to push with 20-man neophyte units.
Was that like a calculated risk or misplay?
I would call it a misplay, because you've wasted your most important unit for nothing.
Yeah, it actually gave him nothing.
Yeah, because that Aberrant unit at all times is scary. For the Wraith Guard unit, those are the kind of type things.
And with an army that has so many options to actually deliver that unit, to do it like this is a throwaway.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So it looks like a 90 for England. It's still very, very tight. Still 4 or 5 games still to come in,
Okay.
but they look pretty favourable at this point. It could only get higher, I think, from there. So I think not. There's no way the win is wrapped up, but I think the win is there for them to get.
All right. Good to hear. Good to
Yes.
hear. The other Nathan, have you heard any gossip, or have you spoken to any coaches? Can you give us any information about the Poland versus the United States game?
So I've talked to a few people. Poland seemed pretty down a few minutes ago, looking at maybe trying to push up into a draw. But it does look like Typhus is currently out there reporting, saying that the momentum has kind of started to swing back to Poland as the round concludes, which I'm not sure what it means just yet, since Typhus hasn't given us more information, but maybe it's looking more like a draw than a win for the USA at this moment. We'll see how kind of that spins out over the next 45 minutes. We haven't really seen very many to any results kind of come in. Outside of the Eldari mirror, which was a 17-3 for Poland. Custodes was 11-9 for the United States. And then there was one other game that was reported, which was also an 11-9 for the United States. I believe that was the Grey Knights matchup. But we're currently waiting for the rest of them to come in. Otherwise, Sweden and Germany is currently looking drawish. So
Drawish, after all.
Yep.
So, okay, the last I heard, Sweden felt like they were in a pretty firm position to actually secure a win.
So
Uh-huh.
apparently the coaches for them have said the word tight about 10 times in the update that they gave to Typhus,
Okay.
which indicates to me that it's probably too early to tell kind of how that's really going. So we'll see how that goes.
All right.
Also, Typhus says he may have placed another toe bet with Soli, which we'll find out if that bears fruit later.
Again, something that could backfire horribly.
New Zealand is currently up with 2 remaining to report against Italy. They have 75 points at the moment, so that looks like they might. They're looking to win it. Yep. There might be a draw or a win for Canada over Netherlands. When I was over there earlier, Canada seemed very confident that they were going to win. Their Eldar in the mirror had 20 owed the opposing Eldar, so they were feeling very confident. We'll see kind of how that bears out over the next 45 minutes. Outside of that, Iceland is looking for a small loss at the moment. And England is quite confident. Look, England is always quite confident. So I'm not sure if this...
Really not.
Look, I got the player cards. Maybe it's just Nassim, though. Maybe it's just Nassim who's confident. Sweden is apparently becoming more confident over time, according to Typhus. Currently looking at the top side of the draw, or a win as of right now into Germany. We'll see how that kind of bears out. Otherwise, we're just kind of waiting. We're kind of in that same waiting stage that we were in kind of yesterday, where at the end of the day, teams are reporting their results kind of slowly. I have kind of seen the stream game for War Games Live kind of going heavily towards the United States, with Orcs kind of pushing kind of continuously more and more and more of the other opposing army kind of into the corner.
Controlling the table, essentially. Yep. That's what happened, I think, yeah.
But we'll kind of see if that kind of like comes back. We're alternating between like hands getting thrown in the air and kind of laughing at that top table at the moment.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's kind of hard to gauge body language at the moment. Everybody's taking this extremely seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to just kind of wait until Typhus tells me more information.
Okay. So in the meantime, Nathan, I wanted to ask you about the game that we mentioned, or you guys have mentioned in the previous entry. So my son playing Gene Stealer Colts into Sean Naden's Tyranids. Without mentioning how the game is going so far, what do you think about this matchup in general? Do Tyranids have the tools to actually tackle GSC, the army which is considered to be like the second in the meta right now, right behind Eldari? Do they have the tools to pick this army apart?
Yes, they do. Nids are actually one of the better factions. If you build your list into them, they have some of the better options to deal with GSC. I think a lot of that comes from they have very fast units to deal with screening and to take down blips.
Yeah.
So, say for example, England, you want front screen, Gaunts get to move d6 inches, so roll a 4+ and they don't get to bomb you. 3 inches away at 6-inch guns. That can be very, very annoying for them. You've got the ability to screen with cheap units that they can't deal with. When they deal with, you don't really care about. And Tyranids, if you go down the more monsters, zone groups, and damage output, they actually have tons of blast. Like all the zones are blast, all the excrements are blast, all the mouse scepters are blast. So you do start like racking up loads of kills, and you can start to control them. Say Aussie's dead list with the Horde smashes Steam Super because it just can't get anywhere on the table. And if you start putting blips, gargoyles can move up to 24 inches. They can take the blips down. Another thing that is interesting is maybe Sean Naden's list. With that matchup, it's interesting because Sean's actually dropped a lot of the chaff, things like gargoyles and gaunts, for more damage output monsters. He's got the 2 Tyrannofixes with acid sprays, which are very good into that matchup. Again,
essentially flamers.
Yeah, really, really good flamers, good stat flamers. And they're very difficult to kill. Covers 12, -1 damage, quick save. And you can pop multiple filament pains. They're not going anywhere against GSC. So they can happily sit on and take 2 of them can just take an objective. There's not a lot they can do about it. The Carnifex unit that he has a bucket of shots. You get 24 shots from Death Spitters, 2d3 blast, separate 2d3 blasts. So each one against a 20-man unit is getting 4 plus d3, so on average 6 each. So that's another 12. That's 36 shots. And if you're within 6, you get another 5 shots each. That's 46 shots with full rerolls to hit.
Right.
So it's one of those. Because old Stink Eye is in the unit, he gives them the full rerolls. Even when you Overwatch, you'll probably kill a 10-man squad. Yeah. And then they step forward and kill a 20-man squad. So that unit, as long as you don't get it bombed first, it's a lot of damage. But he has no screening. So the bombs are going to get to hit at least something that's vaguely a good target.
Yeah. And again, his opponent, my son, a Polish mastermind, I wanted to say. So definitely has tested this, definitely has tried this matchup in the preparation phase before the event. So how do you think this is going to go down? I mean, we have players matched in skill, armies that also have the tools to tackle one another. Is there anything like the mission, terrain, or going first, which, as we know, the American team managed to, I think, start 7 out of 8 games that they were playing?
Yep.
Does any of those factors affect how the game can go?
The terrain, not so much.
Mhm.
They both rely on kind of shooting each other. Neither are really combat heavy, so the terrain's not so much of an issue. The only issue I can see is the mission is probably slightly more favorable for the Tyranids
Mm-hmm.
because they're pretty good at holding the home objective. And if you plonk 2 Tyrannofexes on one objective, that's basically yours. And then you can just send the Carnifexes and the other monsters he has down to the other one, because there's only 4 objectives in this mission.
Yep.
So if you can do a lot of primary denial versus GSC, it's possible. But the damage output GSC is very difficult to deal with. Even if you can get those bombs to -4, they'll still rinse most of a Carnifex unit. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I would normally, maybe in that matchup, give the slight win to the GSC, but I would imagine both of them have played that matchup a lot of times.
Yeah. I'm adamant sure about this.
So
Nathan,
we do have a couple updates. So Canada is going to draw against the Netherlands 78-82. So despite some early setbacks, it looks like they were able to claw back to a draw in that situation.
Is that 3 draws for Canada?
Yes.
Okay.
So along with being one of the friendliest countries, they're also apparently
They like
sharing
to share.
points.
like to share.
Sharing is caring. So
Some might call that communism. But
Greece is expecting a tie.
okay,
South Africa is apparently beating Latvia and is apparently
Nice.
very happy about it.
excellent. Yeah.
they're beating who?
Latvia.
Oh, yeah.
Is that
okay.
their first win?
I think
No,
they're second.
I think it's their second. I can't remember who they've beaten, but
We'll go back and look at it a little bit later.
I've got a feeling they went 0, draw. This might be the first one.
I'm
Yeah.
50% sure they actually beat someone.
50% sure that somebody got points. England apparently is comfortable with a draw right now, and thinking they might win. So maybe we've downshifted some of those expectations just a little based on results that are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, though, Alex Harrison is looking at a draw with his guard into Eldar. I think that first couple of turns, he was able to really hit the Eldar hard, kind of in the same theme as, I think, Ben Jurek, who did the same thing to Eldar when he matched up against them. Although he ended up 20-0 on them, I suppose, but that was a little bit different of a situation from a game state perspective on a slightly different mission.
For some reason, our luck seems to turn around versus France. I don't know why it keeps happening. It just does.
It's
And
historical.
I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Apparently, we're getting from coaches for the Poland-United States game that it's kind of in draw territory at the moment.
Okay, Poland have brought it back then.
In a roughly 80-80 situation where we're going to split evenly across points.
Yeah, so at some point when I approached, before the stream, when I approached one of the coaches, apparently the order that was given was to push. Whoever could was supposed to push and try to squeeze out as many points as possible from their games. So I think if Poland is good at anything, they're good at this. It's like putting late pressure on their opponents and squeezing those points. From the players that I know from the Polish national team, all are highly skilled in doing just that. So yeah, fingers crossed that they actually managed to do this. Is Typhus reporting on anything else, or can we see anything else in BCP?
He needs to stop giving me like small things.
Yeah, especially that they are.
He's giving me too many short updates at the same time.
So that's big. The Eldar off. Poland's Eldar 117.3. Going
That's-
second.
Duda
Yes,
is,
that's what's happened. Apparently, going second though kind of backfired, or went well for Poland, and going first backfired for the United States Eldar player.
Yeah,
in this
Duda is an absolute monster. Again, he not only plays the faction well, he just loves the faction. He knows the lore of the faction. He lives and breathes Eldari. So I'm very happy for him, because that was probably, or could have been, one of the most important matchups in this round for
Yes.
Poland.
It is currently the biggest differential that's being reported at the moment for the Polish-United States match at 17-3. We're currently waiting to hear back on a couple more pieces of information for that. He did also tell us that Spain is currently projected to win their matchup fairly comfortably. So we're waiting to hear how that's going to come back.
Yeah, I talked to the Belgian coach halfway through, and he said it looking very, very dicey. It's obviously turned a little bit towards Spain.
Yeah, and we coming back to the Polish or Poland versus the USA game, we cannot forget that they had two mirrors being played, two very swingy.
One of them
mirrors.
is already over. The Custodes mirror is already over. It's 11-9.
So the Eldari is also over.
Yeah, so they're both over.
How did the Custodes game go?
It was 11-9 in favor of the United States.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, happily for us, for me, the other swingy mirror went our way and in a massive way.
So you got 26 out of 2 mirrors. That's good.
Yeah, I can't complain about that.
The other one that is over is Grey Knights into Necrons, which was 11-9 for the United States as well.
Okay.
So
again, that's good because he got 13 versus Necrons in the previous round.
it puts basically with 3 matches in there in tie territory.
Yep.
That's kind of the extent of what we know at the moment. French coach says it is very tense and that they're going to get a draw, according to the French coach, mind you. But we're probably waiting for an update from a few more people before we kind of go anywhere with it. Germany is saying they have a draw at least for a very narrow win. Apparently, both coaches seem to agree with that assessment from both the Swedish and from the German side. So we're kind of waiting.
So actually, Germans managed to turn this around.
Yeah, it's kind of spinning back. I think this is one of those situations where we're seeing some like very last minute pushes kind of starting to key off right now.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for like these last few games. And like most of the 40K from most of these matchups is not over. We still have, I think, about 30 to 40 minutes, about 30 minutes left in the round. I mean, we'll probably see a few of these games like start to wrap up quickly, and then we'll get a bunch of results all at once. I'm trying to hopefully match eyes with a U.S. coach so that they'll give me some information, maybe waggle some eyebrows at me or something.
Blinken Morse code.
I know. Yeah, Blinken Morse code at one of the coaches, see if they'll give me something. I don't know.
Hopefully it's not SOS.
I'm just so kind of intrigued at this process that waiting for results is going to kill me again, just like it did last night, where we were kind of sitting here like holding the table, trying not to flip it with excitement. So we'll kind of see what happens.
All right. So Nathan, from what we said and from what Nathan said as well, it seems that in a couple of those matchups that we are observing right now, at some point, someone needed to make the decision to push.
Yes.
So is that testament to a well-selected coach / captain? Is the captain the person who makes that decision? And like, what feeds into that decision? What is it based on? Like, if you could explain to people who maybe don't have that team experience.
So ultimately, it's brought to a captain from a coach. A player either asks or... So one scenario, a player asks, can I push? Trying to get a good score. They go to the captain. Captain agrees or disagrees. That's usually the process. Maybe some teams do it differently. The other scenario is a coach does a roundup of what the scores might be for that round. Because multiple coaches will normally go around and say, where are you in the game? What do you think the final prediction score is? And then you might be halfway through thinking, oh, we're looking at 86. Okay, guys, you need to push. So a captain will tell a coach, go ask every player, do you have a safe way of pushing? Or, look, we're losing. You just need to push completely.
Wait, what is it? Look at me, Max. No, I'm just...
I thought you wanted something from me.
No, I'm just trying to get eyes with somebody to tell me what's going on. We do have a score reported from the United States-Polish match. It does look like the United States Death Watch player is going to beat the Polish Tau player 12-8.
Jaime versus Crazy.
Yes, Jaime versus Crazy has resulted in a US 12-8. So narrow up. Anthony and his opponent are currently exchanging jerseys. That was an 18-2, so a big loss for the United States.
Not the result.
Leshu got 18 points.
Should.
Wow.
He's done amazingly well.
Wow. Holy crap, that's amazing.
So it's
I'm
going
going to buy him a beer.
It's going to definitely, well, I'm going to be honest. At first it was a 20-0, and it got pulled back to an 18-2 is essentially what
Okay.
came out of it.
That is somewhat surprising.
We are waiting
Pre-match
essentially on
predictions.
Tyranids versus GSC, and then we are waiting on GSC versus Guard and Orcs versus Thousand Sun still. Although, hopefully we'll get some more information on that soon. We're going to wait for Typhus to give us some more information.
Yeah, I don't know if Typhus can handle it. Like, Typhus told me that while all those games were going on, he was at the other end of the room, purposely avoiding any sort of information about how the games are going, not to get a heart attack.
We had a couple of drinks.
And it is looking kind of like a
couple
heart
is an
attack
understatement.
brewing, no lie. We'll kind of see in like the last couple of minutes essentially what's going to happen. It is looking very much like a tie, though, based on current kind of like several close, like small wins and then like a couple large wins for Poland.
So let's say it is a tie. What does the tie mean to Poland?
Well, for somebody who's just a spectator who has no interest in say the nations at the top, it's actually the most fun option, because if England were to win and these two were to draw, it actually puts 3 teams tomorrow on 4 wins and a draw.
Yeah, that's
So it's actually
crazy.
I would imagine
Anything is
the
possible.
USA, then Poland. If it's draw, USA, then Poland, then England. England would have to play one of those 2 teams, presumably. Obviously, don't want to count my eggs too soon.
Mm.
But yeah, as a general bystander, the draw is actually quite a fun result.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we have all the drama that's yet to come in. I still think there's one last twist.
There's basically 3 games left to report, so we'll have to see how these last 3 go.
My
And
son, then Sean.
The score.
one of them is Sean Naden's game with Myson. One of them is a stream game where Lucas was winning quite comfortably early. And then one of them is the Gene Stealer cult where Eric Forsman is going into Skark. Indications
into Guard.
Indications early was that Skark might lose his first game against the United States player, although the information from Typhus is kind of pulling that back just a little bit. So we'll see.
Those are 3 difficult games.
3 difficult games with 3, I think it's okay to say, with 3 strongest Polish players still in the game, which is fantastic. So I thought that Pumba and his opponent were done, but it seems that the game is going on still. We don't see the War Games live stream, so I see on the table they are still inputting points, so something is still going on, which is good because the tension is still there.
Judah said that he had a great play that might be worth taking on stream. We'll see in a little bit. Just waiting on more information essentially from Typhus. I'm going to pull up the results from matches that have been reported, and we'll see if anything else is going on. Nothing else has been reported here still.
I mean, again, to the people watching and listening and so on, I realize that to many people who are not here specifically, competitive Warhammer might be even a little bit off-putting at times. So I'm telling you now, there is like all your preconceptions about competitive 40K are probably amiss, because from what I see, we just had 2 players kiss each other. Before, we had 2 players taking off their shirts, hugging each other, exchanging shirts. Like I mentioned, I think we talked about this yesterday, about this tradition of exchanging shirts. I see Nas in like the 3rd shirt already.
It's his 2nd French shirt, from what I've been told.
Shirts he has.
He has 2 French shirts.
Innes has a shirt on him that says Captain Villain, which I think is very, very fitting.
That's his actual shirt. That's the Scotland shirt.
That's his shirt.
Yes, that's the. I told you they're awful.
Oh, okay. But he was wearing something else yesterday, I think. Maybe. Possibly. Potentially. Anyway, so we're seeing amazing displays of friendship, admiration to a point, mutual respect. There's nothing of the like negative things that you possibly could see. And trust me, I'm not a player. I'm here to report on it, and I'm unbiased, like in 90% of the time. So no, I'm just in awe, seeing how this community functions here, how people play together, win together, lose together, cry together, drink together. It's a wonderful experience, and I wish everyone that at some point in their lives they could come to a place like this and see what real 40K is about.
Yeah,
So-
I think
Go ahead.
one thing to note is a lot of teams at some point over the last 10 years all had a small rebuild to prioritize fair play and good sportsmanship, and not having those people who were trying to win at all costs on their team. I know Poland, since I've been going, went through 2. Germany went through a big one. Some other teams that maybe didn't have great reps are so much better.
Yeah, and I think again it's testament to all the hard work that Neil, Tom, Ishak are putting into this. They stress all the time that it's about building the community, and I think again I'm here for the first time. I've never seen this before. To me, these people look like a family. They look like people who come here to actually enjoy their company. The game is something on the side, you could say. The game is like a reason why they come here, but at the end of the day, they all meet up, they party together, they share stories, like craziest of stories, like, oh my God, do I have stories to tell you in our podcast? But Joker is laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just incredible. So yeah, make sure that if you are a competitive player and for some obscure reason you cannot get on the national team, at least try and enroll for the Merc team, for one of the UN teams or whatever they are going to be called next year, because really this is an unforgettable experience. No matter what the result is, the result is again like a secondary thing. But to go through this, to witness all that happiness, all that joy from the hobby is something that I haven't seen before.
I'm getting a good indicator of where the game is at for United States versus Poland. Very close is the indicator that I'm getting right now.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll know soon.
Do you want to tell us a secret or something?
Yeah, come here. Come here.
So one of the Polish coaches is approaching,
What's going on?
whispering in Nathan's ear.
Basically, we're striving for a draw right now. And to get a draw, we need 14 points total from 3 tables.
Okay.
And 2 of them are looking like they're going to be a 0.
Okay, which 2 are currently looking like 0?
So, I'm being a little bit over dramatic.
I'll translate from English to English.
This is,
Apparently, Poland needs to, in order to get a draw, Poland needs to bring 14 points from 3 tables. And I'll do this. From 3 tables, but 2 of those tables look like a 0 for Poland. Yes. So it means, I guess it means that Poland needs to score 14 or more on one of the tables. Whether that is possible, I don't know, because I missed the second part of that conversation. But Nathan will give us all the details in a moment, I guess.
Sure. Interesting. They look like zeros.
You're the
I don't
worst
know
and the best at the
which
same
tables
time.
That could possibly be. Maybe the GS.
Yeah,
Maybe
definitely.
the GSC matchup for either team.
So,
yeah, I'm not sure.
Nathan, can you tell us
You
some
mentioned which
of the
ones?
details that you just gathered?
So
We're curious.
what I was just told is that the stream table does look like a 20-0 currently.
Wow.
Being
surprising.
but currently across 3 tables, essentially what Poland is looking to try to get is 14 points. But 2 of them are looking extremely tilted towards the Americans currently, with just one of them leaning towards Poland. So we're looking to see if they can get 14 points on 3 tables, which does seem manageable for a draw. We'll see kind of how that spins out.
10-2.
I don't know what that means, buddy.
Yeah, like Joker assumes that we know sign language. And as we said, we can't read and we cannot sign language. So Typhus just did this and scrounged away.
So I will also say, though, that the Netherlands might have won their game, actually.
Ooh, nice. I'm happy for them.
Losing to Canada to maybe win.
It's very likely that they might win. There's been some last-minute
10 points from 2 tables.
Okay, so we're down to 10 points from 2 tables, from 14 points from 3 tables. We don't know which one of those tables points came from, though.
From
From
my
Naden, from Naden versus Myson. Okay, so they need points from the stream table, which we were told feels unlikely, and then points from the other table, which
From
feels more likely.
Yeah.
But 10 points to draw, which this is going to be intense. It's going to come down to the wire, essentially. Typhus is saying his poor little heart can't take it.
Oh,
United
poor
States
boy.
and Poland are both saying potential tie, potential win, but it's all kind of up in the air because there are 2 games that are kind of going to control the
Are
destiny
the-
a little bit.
Yeah.
So, as we were talking about earlier, Sean Naden's Tyranids beat the GSC 16-4. So
That's huge.
that is, again, a very interesting.
The score is in 16-4 for Sean Naden.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. So
surprising result.
So do you think that list was designed for that matchup, or is it like an overstatement? Like not maybe for this matchup, but that was one of the matchups that he potentially could take. Do you think they were happy with this?
So, which
England is projecting 86 points at the moment. So we're talking like thin red line projections
typical England,
with a possibility of flipping at the last moment. France seemed confident in a tie. We'll kind of see how that goes. A tie at this end there would be very interesting because it kind of keeps the top at kind of the same point. And then we'd have to see kind of, I'd assume the United States would probably play France in that situation.
if there was a winner here, they'd play France because they'd be on 4 wins and draw. England would be on 3 wins, 2 draws, which pseudo effectively would take them out of winning, most likely.
Okay. By the way, where is Australia right now? Have they lost?
Australia's projected to win
Scotland.
against Scotland.
Yeah, but are
Where
they
is
also?
Australia?
No,
right
I mean
now?
like score-wise. Are they on a single loss as well?
They would be on 3 wins, a draw, and a loss.
So does that
After
mean that?
beating
So
Scotland.
does that if they beat Scotland, does that mean that they are also still in the game at least for the podium, or is that
A potential podium, yeah.
right?
Realistically, now dropping 3 points, they're not in a chance
There are-
of winning.
Mm-hmm.
2 games left to report. The United States is showing 65 points. So 15 points for them across 2 tables to hit 80, essentially. 10 points to hit a draw for them, essentially, across 2 tables.
Skark, my hope is with you then.
That's very close, basically.
Yeah.
Like, if the stream table turns out to be a 20, like they projected, that seems like an American win.
Similar result the other way.
Yeah, so it would have to pull out very similar results in either direction. We have some applauding for Austria, for Denmark.
Austria just beat Denmark. Yeah.
England won, according to the most
Okay.
recent information from Typhus.
Okay.
No.
Celebrate when it's confirmed.
And no one shouted anything, so
Yeah, but they're all losers. They don't just shout when things happen.
I love this. So
Everyone else is going buck wild, and they're just like, good game, good game.
I will
good game."
go through a few
That's
things real quick while we have everybody's attention for a moment. Iceland has beaten Malta.
Nice. So they got their win.
105 to 55. Belgium lost to Spain 51 to 109.
Okay, so it's a bit of a drubbing in the end.
Germany and Sweden is still too close to tell. I can see my Facebook is beeping because Typhus has something, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer.
I didn't look at Facebook
France,
at all.
no, don't look.
No.
don't
I mean,
look.
I have 90 unread
Yeah,
messages.
It hasn't been confirmed.
So England says they won and it's like 93. France says it's a draw. So we'll wait for confirmation.
Cyprus
aren't
is coming.
There's not enough scores in there yet. I mean, he can't give me.
Yeah.
he's not going to give us.
There's still time.
Sweden versus Germany got a small additional amount of minutes to get their games done. So we are going to have to wait longer.
Okay. Usually, the only instance of that is if a ref has had to pause a clock.
Yeah.
Then it carries on.
Because
That's
of ref
usually-
calls is what Typhus
Sure,
just said.
fine.
Let's keep going down here. Italy did draw with New Zealand, a perfect 80-80 apparently.
Oh, they drew.
Yeah,
Okay.
so apparently the early pairing thing, which actually is starting to feel like New Zealand's kind of conflict at this tournament is early pairings advantages turning into draws.
I didn't think I would say this, but I actually, my palms are sweaty. Luckily, no mum spaghetti yet. But
Switzerland is going to beat Northern Ireland 88-72.
Nice.
So a very close win.
Yeah, it does seem like New Zealand have the armies, has the pairings, and then maybe it's a little bit of that player skill carrying home those wins that you need to get.
Mhm.
But then things flip here. Because we've seen results here that you couldn't replicate in singles very easily. It happens.
Mhm.
Australia does seem pretty confident in a win right now
Sure.
based on the scores that are coming in. Everything that I'm seeing except for Innes's game are wins for Australia at the moment.
Yeah. Still.
Which is really only missing, I think, a couple of results, which is really just Brian's game. But based on the scores that I'm seeing, I don't think that pulls it back, although we're also waiting for the GSC Astra Militarum game where Ben Jurek is going to Alex Terrison as well. The Netherlands is now a draw with Canada, although I'd heard that they were doing some editorial business on the side.
Sure.
Editorial business.
So we'll figure out what happens there. Ireland is going to lose to the Slovakia UN team,
that's
86 to
fantastic. I'm happy for
74.
That's a
1
good
point.
win for you.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that they actually scored a win.
Just 1 point in there. Sweden needs 7 from their orc player to get it, but projections look like they're going to get it
For a win.
for a win.
Yes.
Sweden to win it.
I think
Okay.
maybe a draw. Tyvus
Maybe
didn't
so.
really give enough information. He
I
might
think
be.
he's so excited.
He's so excited. He's
I,
just
lo- I
making
love
noise.
how reliable our information is. 7 points for a win, but maybe a draw.
The Luxembourg game with Bulgaria is too close to call at the moment. I think we're waiting on a couple games there still based on the information. we've
It
got.
almost feels like Wall Street with people yelling out prices randomly.
Israel looks like they're going to beat Cyprus. They do have 320s, which seems pretty firmly in their favor at this point. Czechia and Wales are very close. But it looks like Czechia might pull it out against Wales.
I don't know who I'm rooting for in this one. I love the Czechs, but then again, I feel like Wales could use a bump in their morale and so on with securing a win like that.
South
let's go
Africa is
Czechia.
looking.
Let's go Czechia.
The South Africa minus 1 game does look like South Africa is going to win that game.
Yeah, excellent. I like when newer teams win.
And they deserve it.
I'm
They're
gonna
like the
refresh-
nicest people.
I'm going to refresh my page. Everybody's kind of standing around the stream table and then around the guard
Stable, yeah.
We're
think what's
essentially waiting for 2 results.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's been shown so far at this first 10th ETC is it's so close. Either it's the competitive side of it, or every team is so well prepared this year, or every team is massively unprepared. It could be either way.
I need
It's
typists
also-
to type things.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's really
Oh,
cool
like
to see
that.
everything so close in the game,
Mhm.
and it might mean that they need to adjust the scoring system because if everybody's just drawing left, right, and center. But I think it's great for the game that it's this close.
Yeah, I think, I think the
Have
game
a-
has
The
just
game
finished.
just ended between Pumbaa and my brain is no longer working.
What's the score?
Pumbaa and Lucas.
I see Jack
Nobody's
Carster saying
shouting
that's
what the
okay,
score
that's
is.
okay, which probably is not okay
Who
for
is saying
Poland.
okay?
Jack Harpster.
Is saying that's okay, that's okay.
He was patting his guy on the back and saying, that's okay, that's okay.
Looks like Pumba got 4, so Skark needs 6 for a draw.
And
Yep,
that's,
Stark surely gets the 6 remaining, so it's going to be a draw.
which means we're still in the game.
Unless
So
Skark
Pumbaa
gets
managed
16.
to pull that out
Yeah,
quite a bit because it was when Poland came over, they were saying it was maybe a 20 for the United States. But he did also tell me that he was perhaps being a little down on himself and the team. So maybe Stark is losing by 7. So he is perhaps going to
so
lose
that's
his.
like 10-10.
He's perhaps losing his first game to an American. Maybe we'll see.
I mean, there always has to be that first time.
I
As
can't
long
tell
as
if it's a 7, like 13.
But if he's only down by 7, he gets the last turn of scoring for primary, which if he's on his
It's gonna
home
be a
one is
draw.
7, and he gets cards. So if he gets 6 points on his card, it's 11-9.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Technically,
So
undefeated.
we're probably seeing a draw from these two teams right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
which honestly is a very good result for both teams, right?
And for the event
I
as a
think
whole. I think this is England.
I think that is England winning, based on the amount of cheering.
About time. And it's good for them to beat a top team because I think they needed that confidence. Just getting a draw against Austria,
England gets it
With-
90 to
yeah.
70
Okay, so pretty firm.
getting a draw against Spain
with a
kind of
very
knocked
tight
them off.
round, is
Yeah.
what type.
It would be.
Mhm.
France has been so tight with all of their rounds that that's really good for England.
Yeah, definitely boost of morale.
I can't
Is-
read that paper.
Is Typhus actually reporting something? Ooh, quite a lot.
They are counting though, so
Who, Skark or
England is counting. Everyone is huddled around the table.
Yeah, and Skark's table is surrounded by so many people we actually can't see the actual table. So
I mean, a tie is a very good result for both teams.
Yes.
I'm also
100%.
going to tell everybody I called it.
I mean, is it really something to brag about in a situation where you have two top teams? I think,
Yes, actually it is, Tomek.
I think a draw is fair. I think the draw is to
Okay.
be expected.
This sounds definitely like somebody who lost their tattoo bet.
There was no tattoo bet yet, but let's see what happens. What's the outcome of today, and then
We're gonna have a bird bet, a tattoo bird bet.
probably to make up to our viewers and listeners for the fact that we haven't mentioned bird once.
I would say that the loser has to get a tattoo that mimics the bird hat.
Where? Like,
I mean, you can put it wherever you want. I'm not gonna tell you where you need to put it on your body.
can I sleep on it?
Yes, you can. Wow.
Joker, can you throw me the hat?
So this would be the
So,
hat.
Please leave a comment where this should go on my body. And I will sleep on it.
20 people are around the last game for Poland. We can't even see it.
Yeah.
Germany and Sweden is apparently
Germany
getting
shout
heated.
team.
Although, Sweden won. There we go. All right, there.
Sweden won.
Sweden just won.
I told you, Sweden have this weird thing of upsetting Germany, and I don't know how it keeps happening, but it does. Even when you expect Sweden to not be the stronger team. That's 2 losses for Germany now. So,
Mhm.
they're 3-2, won all their pod. And
That
then
kind of takes them out even of podium placement, really, doesn't it?
they could, if they win their next 2, which you would expect them to at this point, depending on what they have to play, you would maybe get a 3rd, but it would be unlikely.
90 to 70 for Sweden is what we're currently calling it.
Wasn't that the same
Nice.
score for England versus France?
Yes.
Only the Poland game. The Poland game is the only game going now. And Typhus is messaging me again, but it seems like a clear draw. I think unless it switches from where it's at to like a 20, we're
Yes.
pretty safely.
Yeah, so it looks
He's
like
heading there
Skark
right now to
needs
be a
6.
vulture
So,
around the table.
I know it's like maybe a cliche of a question, but what do you think is going on in the heads of those players right now?
The 2 that are still playing.
Yeah.
Oh God, please let this game end. Normally, but
Can all those people go away?
I'd imagine Skark thinks in binary 10011001. But to be honest, again, Skark's been going since 2007. This isn't going to phase him at all. This is just another year, just another game. I think the US GSC player is his first year. He's probably got the heart rate of about 180 right now.
Yep.
So, yeah.
With
I
blood
think,
pressure going through the roof.
yeah, it doesn't help when everybody's standing around. Usually, refs do a much better job of telling everyone to go away and shoot.
Lim is over there. I
Yeah.
can see him,
yeah.
and he's just looking at the game. So
What you might see tomorrow during the actual final round is very important tables. They'll start cording them off with chairs and go, nobody go anywhere near this if this is deciding the event.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of pressure on the players, especially when there's 20 people hanging around, people are talking.
Yeah, it's almost like being on stream, or
Exactly,
even
yeah.
worse.
Well, it's the stream with the actual people there. It's one of the worst experiences you can actually go through.
Sweden is very vocal about their happiness.
Sweden shouting England again for some reason.
And there we go with the shirt swap on the stream table. Lucas and Pumbaa swapping shirts.
Yeah, USA usually have pretty cool shirts.
I actually don't
Poland's
think I
shirts
see
are
a
very good.
single like American player really in their own shirts at this point. I see them
Not a lot.
and the Polish players basically all in swap shirts, except for maybe coaches and like a couple people. It's like 90% swapped though, including some coaches,
Yes, yeah.
including coaches on both sides. So
Okay, I see Typhus is energetically discussing something with Sean Naden. So probably collecting details about their game with Myson, which I am extremely
I'm very interested.
eager to find out how it went.
Because I'll be honest, we did the Matrix review of the US lists, and I'll be honest, we did caveat it with we're not 100% sure what the purpose of this list is, but from all the NID testing I'd seen and all the other Tyranid armies that are here, honestly, I wasn't sure how good it was going to be. But he's dropped 6 points. He's on 70.
he's dropped
rounds.
8 points.
Yeah, he's on
8 points.
94. Dropped 8 points. 92 out of 100. That's a mammoth score for that army so far.
Who would have thought?
Looks like we'll be having Germans and Swedes. Hopefully, it's not
or the
too
French
heated.
and English, depending on
Yeah.
what happens in the next couple seconds. But yeah, I'm starting to even see like the last few remaining stragglers from the United States and Poland swapping jerseys at this point.
How many people are at that table right
I think actually too
Close to
many.
40.
I'm going to be honest.
now?
I'm starting to feel like perhaps it is too many people for one table.
And
Although-
not enough officials. No, but Lim is, I think, having
Lim's
a very
there,
close
most,
look.
yeah.
Having a very close look.
Because I believe obviously they usually put a ref on these tables, not due to any kind of issues.
I can't tell
Looks
what that
like Poland
means,
got their
though.
My son is very happy, so it looks like, and Arek is very happy, although he's not on Team Poland this year. But and I'm hearing a lot of Polish curse words that you mainly use when you are very happy, which is a very Polish thing.
I just saw Lim hold up 8 points for Poland.
I haven't
Maybe.
seen anything because there's such a crowd. Skark has scored
Just-
12
come on,
points. We are still in the game, Poland!
Oh my gosh!
So
You
actually,
guys,
there
we do
were
have
4
interviews
points off,
right behind us.
winning.
We got 2. I'm gonna get out for this one actually. You guys-
Okay. Yes, we just reported it, and I shouted.
We genuinely don't know anything.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. So let's do it. Like, I need you a little bit closer for the mic to pick up your voice. You can take that one. And they always remind me. So now I remember. Please introduce yourself first, because I always jump into the questions and I forget to introduce the guests. So let's start with you.
Yeah, my name is Edward. I play for France, and I am in the hobby for 25 years this summer. Yeah.
25 years. Wow. Okay. Your turn.
And I'm Josh. I'm the captain of Team England.
And can you beat that? Can you beat the 25 years?
No, I can't quite be that. I started when I was 12. I'm 33 now, so 21 years.
Right. So
quite close.
almost there.
Almost there, but
Almost
not quite 25.
All right. So tell us, first of all, how did the pairings go? Let's start from the very beginning. So did the pairings go according to your matrices? Was it what you were expecting? Did you get what you wanted? Were there any upsets in the pairing process? Or do you, because your teams are like extremely experienced from like the top seed, so you knew how to go about this, how to do it, everything went according to plan.
Yeah, so I mean, this mission can be quite tight with the way that, because you've lost the center objective, you're effectively fighting over 2 each, and you can keep the primary score very low each. So we knew that it was going to be a tight round. And then, I mean, I don't know the French matrix, at least from our matrix, after we come out of the pairings, I think we were on a prediction of 90. But that's, I mean, 80, you need 86 to win. So it was still very tight. And some of those games, there's no guaranteed scores. So you're like, okay, we have to be very careful here. Any game starts swinging against us or something doesn't go quite right, then we could very easily be drawing or even losing. So, for us, from our pairings, it looked like we were going to win according to our matrix, but it was very, very tight.
So again, going into the pairings, like, did you understand their lists and what they do and so on? Were you prepared to tackle them?
Our pairing gave us a result around 80, so we were said that by the captain. We were said that it was going to a tie, and we had to fight maybe a little bit to do what we must. We have the same of course the same view on the match and this scenario, which can be very conservative. And against Custodes, which was my pairing, I had the difference between I pick my table and is unable to hide from my shootings, and he picks his table and is able to add at least 1 unit with my shooting. So you get to pick the table. So I was going for a draw, and it barely happened. I think it did not happen because of me, because I did one mistake. I was greedy. I wanted to get a line of sight with Magnus shooting at his warden. I killed one. By doing so, I exposed my sorcerer that would have scored 5 points, and he gets to put it back within 2 inches and get a better charge. I forgot about that, and that's on me.
Yeah, so in the end, our game was very tight because I was the first put forward. They gave me 1,000 suns. I was like, I can draw this, and it's a 10-10, 11-9 either way. But because I had table choice, it's slightly in my favor. Because, as I said, I could hide. If it's his table choice, it's in his favor. And then just with that, if he hadn't made that mistake, it would have been 10-10. But with that mistake, I managed to win 11-9.
Right. Okay. So, how about the other matchups? Like, how did they go? Can you tell us something about them? Like, were there any pairs that you were specifically worried about?
Not really. I mean, from us, we expected. We all know that Eldar in the current meta are very strong. So we just tried to take the Eldar out of the matrix and accept we were going to lose there. But actually, we managed to hit guard into the Eldar, which can be a bit swingy with all that artillery. And I think he managed to get 9 points out of it. So that was a really big result.
Yeah, I heard the first turn was fundamental for that score.
Yes. Yeah. So that was good for us. But then on one of the other flips, our Chaos was into their Necrons, which is actually a very good match for us. And then that flipped the Necron way, so they won 11-9. So it's such a tight round.
I think what could have flipped the coin a little bit, not all the coin, but part of it, was the match of our Chaos against 2,000 Sons, which he had a list pretty different than mine, which is my list was pretty much like a medium of all the lists we had, but your list was pretty different with a lot of characters and little squads, and you had a lot of camel points. So I debriefed very quickly with our French player of Chaos, and when we did the match together, he was always around the draw. It could end up to a big win for me or for him, and most of the time on the conflict. And I think that it was not a conflict here. The list of your player, he told me your list is better than yours, than mine. He told me, yeah, their list is better than yours.
Okay.
I have to follow up what you do with Vic.
Yes.
So I imagine in that game there was a lot of tension. Probably, I mean, in that whole round there was a lot of tension and so on. So, was there any point where, for example, your captains or your coaches approached you and said, "I don't know, what's the score? This and this. You need to push." And so on?
Yeah, for sure.
Tension on the score. Yeah.
Yes.
No tension.
Yeah, so there was no tension in the round. We've played France, I think, 5 times now. We've had a great round every time. We love it. We always look forward to playing them. But yeah, with the score, because it was so tight, there was, our coaches were going around and were saying, can you push a little bit? But not because it's so tight. You don't want to take a big risk, because if you take a big risk, it could backfire. So can you push safely, which is the hardest thing to do? Like, you want me
Push
to push,
safely, yeah.
but with no risk.
Mhm.
It doesn't really work that way.
Yeah.
But that's what your coaches expect. So there was a lot of that. Can you push with minimal risk to gain 1 or 2 more points here? Or if somebody was losing, can you just hold on a little bit more for again another point or so? That was happening all the way through because it was tight.
Okay. How about your team? Like again, what was there anyone walking around, finding out what the scores was, and there at some
No,
point?
I did not get information.
Mhm.
Because after our game, we finished a little bit early, but not that early, maybe 10 minutes. And almost right after we had the result, that it
Mhm.
was not possible to win.
Mhm.
And one match was left. So we did not have time to get that tension.
Okay.
But actually, the last move you did, getting back on your objective, you pushed playing safely, and I picked the card, the Storm of Style objective, and I wasn't able to do it. There's too many OC on this objective. All the custodies left was there. So actually, by playing safely, you played well. Yeah.
Yes.
And what was the last game that was ongoing? Like,
So I think actually it was both the stream on the French stream. It was the 2 stream games, which normally happens because stream games sometimes take a little bit longer to resolve. So it was the RGSC versus your guard and our NIDS versus
Against the Black Templar.
against Black Templars. So I think they were both, and then but again they were quite tight. I think the Black Templars won 12-8 and our GSC won 11-9.
so do you think that it was down to like that, that pressure, the mind games, the mental resilience of the players playing, or like for England players being so experienced and so on, it was just a walk in the park?
A tight round is never a walk in the park. It's always stressful, but I think thankfully our players are quite experienced now. They know if we need a result, they know when they can. Okay, I'm just not going to push. It's a different mentality to singles where you'll quite happily accept a 9-11 loss if it works out for the team, rather than I need to win the game. And luckily, all of our players have that experience now. So when our coaches come and say, "What's your predicted score?" And if that works for the round, just stay on it. Don't push, don't threaten. Or if we did need to push, then we knew which players were in a position to push. So we say, like our Eldar, okay, you're on for a 17. Can you push it to an 18 or 19? Because it's minimal risk. You go for that. Others stay on their points.
Okay.
I think our GSC player had a hard time. I did not know what was the pairing.
He played the Eldar.
Yeah, and I think it's yeah. So he scored 3 points, right?
I think 1 in the end. He scored 19
one. So
to our Eldar.
Part of the coin was the CSC, the CMC, our CMC player
Yes.
against your Thousand Sons. Part of the coin, and most of the coin was this matchup, where he lost more than what he should have.
Yes. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
So are your players of both teams used to playing on stream? Does this add any stress factors or anything like that? Or again, is it something that they are used to?
Yeah, I mean, from the English side, most of our players have all played on stream before. I think generally streams, as long as they're not too invasive, then they're pretty much. So sometimes if if the stream gets too involved in the game, it can be quite stop-start, and that if you've got a time-sensitive round, that can be quite hard. But from what I saw from that stream, I think they were mic'd up and then they were just left to play. So that generally works very well.
Frankly, here it doesn't change a thing. When you play in a streaming studio, it's very different.
Okay.
Because you get all the attention, all is around the game. Here, the game I like a backup sound to someone doing all the commentaries and stuff. So frankly, you mostly forget the microphone. The viewers don't hear us most of the time.
Yes, yeah, they hear the
So
commentator.
it's
Okay.
very different.
All right. So probably the final question, but a question that simply that I'm simply interested in. Have any of your teams used gambits in this tournament? Have you considered it? And do you think that gambits actually are a useful mechanic, or completely could be completely gone from the game?
So, I mean, from our side, none of my players have used any gambits, but actually in the last round versus Austria, the player I was playing against did consider a gambit. And, excuse me. And it took him about 20 minutes to decide. We had loads of time, so he couldn't decide. In the end, he decided not to do it, but actually he should have gone for it because he would have scored. He scored
a bunch of points.
He scored no primary anyway in the last 2 turns, so he should have actually tried, but he had to roll an 11 on 2d6 to try and get 30 points. So at the moment, the gambits are just not. The corners one is about the only one that's semi-viable.
That's what many people say.
All the others, because all the others like go to the center. If you're losing a game, generally your opponent's right in the center of the board, controlling the middle objective, and all the others are just so hard to do. Maybe if you've got a very MSU fast army or plus deep strikes, you could try and go for the corners and maybe get some +1s. But even then, you're relying on a dice roll. So I don't think many have. In hindsight, he should have because he didn't score any prime anyway. So he might as well have
Didn't have
taken
anything to lose.
he might as well have taken the chance to roll the 11. But I think generally, if you can score any primary,
You don't go for it.
you don't go for it.
Our GSC player did it once in the War Master.
Oh, okay.
In the War Master.
All right.
But GSC is probably the one army that can do it pretty easily.
Yes,
Just
because it's so much.
popping back some stuff in the corners and trying to get the 9.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What was the final score then?
I don't even know.
I think it was like a 91 win to us, but I'll have to check.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
They pulled us over before we saw the final.
Yeah, and there were so many, emotions here with the Poland game.
What happened with USA and Poland?
It's a draw, and I think Skark was 81-79. So Skark and his guard were versus something, Gene Stealer Cult, and he needed to bring 6 points, and he brought 12. So I mean,
oh, that's great. Result.
yeah, that's fantastic.
That is not. It's not an easy game for Jar.
And
But that's a draw.
it's a draw, yeah. But Skark still, for so many years, has an unbeaten, let's call it a record. So he has never been beaten by Americans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have a bunch of people lined up here for another interview.
Another interview.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. And good luck
Thank you
tomorrow.
very much. Thanks, guys.
Do you want your seat back?
I was gonna let Nathan do the other interview, but I didn't realize one of those was his brother, and that was gonna be the situation there.
Hello, sir. What's up? Pick your seat.
Please take seats.
Cozy.
Hi.
Hello. How's my hair look? Does it look good?
Amazing.
Oh my god, the Jesus is finally
We don't
here.
have enough people
Finally
to chant
here.
40K Jesus to you.
I'm going to try and
Finally
bring this over here so that
Wait,
we
I
can
gotta
use this
tie
mic.
in my-
All the worst.
Yeah,
So am I supposed to face away from my opponent?
Yeah, you can. If you want to just
You
like,
can lean on me, Sean, whatever.
Aw, adorable. Oh my gosh. Now I feel like we're actually getting in the way of something.
You are.
Oh.
A little bit, though.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome to join. We have history.
Exactly.
I don't know. Pumbaa's implying there's room, which is interesting.
Nathan, do you want to kick this off?
All right. So, one of the major games of this round obviously was the United States versus Poland. So, we have brought 2 of the members of United States and Poland, although it's hard to tell who is who because they are wearing each other's shirts.
Polish people.
I know the Polish people have upgraded and looks quite substantially over the last.
That's
couple
true.
of
That's
minutes,
just true at this point.
but it's not on. No,
You're not coming back from this one.
I wasn't trying to. So why don't you 2 introduce yourselves? We're gonna bring the mic a little bit closer.
we gotta get-
bring you a little closer.
We got to get more
Okay.
deep set.
Okay. So why don't we start with Team Poland USA, and then we'll go to USA Poland.
Cool.
Um,
Which one am I again?
you're Poland USA. You're
Poland,
former.
USA. All right. What was I supposed to tell?
Yourself.
Oh. What was the question?
Please introduce yourself to the class.
Oh, hi. My name is Sean. I'm the captain of Team USA,
Poland USA.
Poland, USA,
Mhm.
and you are.
I'm Pumbaa, and I'm the co-captain of Team USA Poland. I think that's.
I think that's right.
I
Yeah,
think that's
that
right.
is correct. That is exactly how I said it. So you have done it correctly.
Let's
I'm
go.
proud of both of you. So A for effort so far.
Good.
Why don't we talk about how the pairings looked, and we'll start with Sean. What were your thoughts coming out of pairings? Were you thinking you had an advantage?
So we looked at this round as the most important round of the event. We look at Poland, Germany, England, some of these Australia, great teams. This year we looked at it as Poland was probably the one we wanted the most. They were our only loss last year, and we felt that if we got them in a round, it was probably going to be the championship round. Certainly, if one of us had won this round, tomorrow might have been a bit of a like easy street, right? Only then to win one to go on, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
You could say that.
Although
Not easy in terms of still strong opponents, but if one more win for a winner in this round would have been out of reach. So we were trying our best. I felt really good coming out of pairings. We had one that we thought was a major flip. It's the Eldar on Eldar. Who knows? Who rolls more sixes, right?
Burger Flip Nation.
Burger Flip Nation. It was a risk we took. And we felt we had gotten a couple of really good ones. The Orcs were in one we really liked. Even as first offender, that's usually really good. If your first offender gets into something they feel is really positive. And then I trapped the GSC, so I felt good about that.
So, and what about the Custodes game? Was that calculated?
It's a risk again. Our Custodes player, John, felt very strong that his units were bigger, which means he could robustly go through. I don't know what happened in the game and how it didn't go, but you know, you take risks this late in the event because both teams are so strong. So you have to gamble. You have to gamble a little bit, right? And it's not just gambling on the table. Sometimes it's gambling in pairings, gambling in thought process. You know, because you can't prep for everything, right?
Exactly.
And like me, I know I'm an old man with kids and stuff like that, and like so it's hard for me to get all the games in. And we had a short prep time this year from list lock, right? So you try to prep for a bunch of countries. You prep your pod. You prep some of the big ones, but you can't practice it all. You can't get every matchup done. So you're going off your ideas on matchups, your thoughts on how a list works or doesn't work, and so sometimes you're just wrong. And yeah, how did you feel?
Same question to you, because when you were doing the pairings, Sean's team left the table pretty jovial, I would say, while Poland left the table sort of, I don't want to say miserable, but maybe very focused, silent, definitely. So were you happy with the pairings, or did everything go according to plan?
According to plan is a big word. I think we got a little bit surprised by the Orc first offender, honestly. I think that list is my favorite list of the tournament, besides our Space Marines. But other than... Excuse me?
Am I tuned?
Nah.
We'll get to it.
Just the Orcs.
Yeah.
So I think the Orcs are just a ridiculous list. I think that's the list that we just didn't find. That's the one key part that we just ignored or didn't find a good enough build, and that kind of was a wrench in our gears in the pairings process. What I needed to do, which was very unfortunate, to not open up the pairings too much for the rest of the round. I felt like sacrificing me, a Thousand Suns player, into that matchup was actually beneficial in the later round, which I think kind of turned out true. Some pairings, of course, went sour for us. Like we absolutely misjudged your list as well, the GSC against Tyranids matchups. However, we got like our Space Marines, our Dark Angels list into the CSM, which we really helped with, right? So there's always an information war, and I think the biggest problem for us was the Orcs, like straight up. Because I needed to throw myself basically into that meat grinder, which was very unfortunate. However, it also opened up some other possibilities. I actually think Custodes matchup isn't that flippy. It's not an Eldar mirror, is what I'm saying. I think the game would usually end up between 8 and 12, honestly. It's not that swingy.
They're too tough.
Exactly.
Yeah,
What I was very happy with, looking at my tables, I'm very curious what Sean thinks about it. Our Tau on this particular mission was just awful. It had so much red in the tables, and I was so happy for it to escape into the Death Watch. That was
How did that game go?
8 to 12 to Death Watch, I believe.
Yep.
So drawish itch, you get the bigger part of the draw. But we're looking at like our tower tables because of the mission. It was so terrible that I was very happy with that 8.
So, Sean, I need to ask you about your list. So,
No,
was it
Nah,
was it designed
it's just
with,
bad.
with the view to tackling GSC, for example, or what happened there?
So I wrote the orc list, and I was playing the orc list. And I was very happy with the orc list, but we couldn't find something to make Lucas happy, and he's an orc player at heart. Literally, the second we came up with that concept, he started playing that and not playing the things we were asking him to play. So about a week and a half before list lock, I asked him if it would. He's new. I've been used to coming to WTC and playing the worst armies that we come up with usually, or the last pick of the round. And so what I gave him the orcs. I was like, hey, will this make you happy? And he got so excited. And you can see it in the way he's played. He's playing phenomenal with it. He's masterclassing that list all over people. He just gets so excited and so happy. So I love to see that with a new player. Because you want new guys to really have a great time at WTC. It's such an importantly fun event in the community. And so I had a week and a half to write a new list. And I needed it to do a couple things in pairings. And so this is what I came up with.
Okay, and yeah, it paid off clearly. Pumba, Tau, are you having any regrets regarding the list and taking Tau as a concept?
Not really, not so far. I think it's actually doing its job. Is basically what's happening. It was kind of a 8th, 7th pick for us, definitely. The list was kind of also brought on board very late into the process, so we haven't tested it as extensively as we hoped we would. But so far, I think it's still doing its job. Sometimes it just gets bust, but that's just bound to happen at 8v8 team events.
Yeah, 8th list gets bounced sometimes.
Sorry.
Sometimes the list
Sorry.
is just bad.
Sorry.
So, is this result something that both of the teams are going to celebrate?
I think so. I think everybody worked very hard. We've had a great 2 days, 3 days. We look at it as we played the best, and we tied. And we walk out of here still in first place with 2 rounds to go, right?
Yep.
So they're still chasing us. We put boots to a lot of people, especially in pod. So we have lots of points. We have lots of tiebreakers. All we need to do is continue to handle our business. If we win with pretty good scores, I think they cannot catch us. So they will do their best to catch us and toward finish second. And all we need to do is handle our business, and we can still be world champions, or at least podium and stuff like that.
Exactly. I think it makes things incredibly interesting. Like looking just at the roster and the pairings and the process and the roster, the placings is what I'm trying to actually say. It's so incredibly interesting. There's there's a relief, right? Because I think, I don't know if you would agree, but coming into this, it kind of felt like this is the match. After this, your team morale can just suffer immensely if you lose. I had the feeling, definitely. I think this was something that we prepared for a year, that we were very excited for this round, this particular matchup, this pairing of USA versus Poland. I think we
This
focused.
should have been a final.
I mean, that's the function of how the Swiss
Exactly.
works. It's not
Yeah.
bracket. It's not bracket pairing. It's Swiss.
Exactly.
You need to score big points to have tiebreakers. So when you run hot and fast, you play each other a little earlier than the final
Exactly.
round. That's just how Swiss operates.
It's always been like that.
so-
Right now, it's way better, actually, right? Because you have way better in that sense of televising or making it a show, because you wouldn't have that happen in the first 2 days, for example, right?
I guess I'll ask more of a fun question, or kind of an interesting question from my point, from a preps perspective. So what's the plan for tonight after you leave the hangar?
We have to win round 1, right? You can't get this far and feel good if you fumble on day 3.
Exactly. It's gonna be a long night. I'm very excited
So
about
what
that.
are you going back, sitting in a group, no
Oh,
drinking,
yes, we
just
are.
staring at pairings?
Some beers are
updating-
fine. No. The teams.
You need morale. You need people to be
need
happy. You got to
exactly.
feed them.
Exactly.
To reward them for their
Exactly. Like
You know?
legitimately, it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Team morale must be kept. People must be motivated to still keep going, even though they will be very tired. After they might have lost a game before, you need to keep people chugging and to not let go until the very end. So that's one part of it, and the second is immense preparation again.
And how do you keep team morale up after what is really kind of a grindy, like this was a roller coaster of a round, right?
Mhm.
So I talked to the Polish captains at the very beginning, like the coaches, and they were very low, and then they kind of got lower again, and then they got very high, and then they
Yep.
went down, and then they went up again towards the end.
Yep.
And my experience with the Team USA coaches was kind of the opposite, very high at the beginning, kind of down towards the middle, then kind of high again, and then kind of down.
As you do, as the
Um,
game progresses and things change, the teams just fluctuate around. Like, what's gonna happen? Maybe this.
So how do you maintain morale tonight?
You just got to remind them that this is the best team in the world, and you just tied them. Like, either way, they look at us as the number one team or number two team. We look at them as number number two team, and we tied. And there's no shame in that at all. We are still driving. We're still driving the bus, and
The goal is still in sight.
the goal is still very
And
much in sight for both.
Exactly. We both have a chance to do it. It's been so much prep that you need to just remind people, as Sean said, that it's very much doable and everything is on the table.
Well, we can let you guys rejoin your teams to boost morale, get them fed, maybe do like a couple drinks. So thank you, both of you, for taking the time to spend this with us. We could get some answers to some really interesting questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
See you, everybody.
All right, we'll let you go.
Goodbye, Team USA Poland. Goodbye, Team Poland USA.
Enjoy your evening.
We look forward to possibly seeing you tomorrow.
So that's it, everyone. The hall is getting empty. Everyone is leaving this place to actually celebrate or cry, depending on how their game went.
My mind is empty. my heart is full.
Nathan's mind after 3 days of doing this is empty as well. It is my obligation to remind you about a couple of things. First of all, if you haven't watched the previous iterations, we have a giveaway that we are doing in cooperation with the Army Painter. So we have a speed painting set of paints from the Army Painter that we are ready to give away to anyone who signs up to our Patreon until the end of the event. So this giveaway has been going on since I think yesterday, and it's going to last until the end of tomorrow. So if you want to support us, if you like what we do, if you like our voices and faces and so on, then make sure that you subscribe, help us. It will help improve all this that you're looking at. If you are considering signing up for BCP, then maybe wait just a little bit more, because we will be granted a link, an affiliation link to BCP, which if you click on, it helps them, it helps us, and it will help you as well. So wait for that link, and then if you want to sign up for BCP, that will be the right time. Probably our next entry tomorrow will have that link in the description. So if you can click that, that would be fantastic. And then I think that's everything. Nathan, anything else?
Also, make sure to vote on where you want Tomek to get his bird tattoo.
Yeah, or if you forget about that, I won't chase you.
But on that note, thank you everybody for watching us tonight. It has been
Yep.
lovely. This whole WTC has been amazing, and I'm sure that will continue through day 3.
Yeah, we will be, or even day 4.
Or even day 4.
we will
or
be
day
here-
4, yeah.
We
she is day
will
4.
be here tomorrow to report on more games.
But my mind might not be.
So make sure that you tune in tomorrow at, I think, 9 a.m. ish. We will display the schedule in a moment. We would love to entertain you, so please join us tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Until tomorrow. Joker, cut us off. Beam me up, Scotty.
Get us out of here.
Get us out of here.
You're going down, guys.